matter is now pending with the Committee on Public Government and Accountability. And
Po pwede po na automatic meron na po kayong title.
Magandang araw sa atin lahat mga kababayan po natin. Ito umano ang patunay na may nangyayaring korupsyon sa ating gobyerno. Dahil itong si Congressman Marcoleta ay noon pa ay ibinulgar na umano ang korupsyong nangyayari sa Misamiz City kung saan ay ang hawak na proyekto ni Congressman Oaminal na ngayon ay isang gobernador na nga at nasangkot sa isang malaking iskandalo sa bayan ng Bonifacio kung saan ay sa pilitan niyang iniutos umano sa kanyang mga tauhan na kalad ka rin palabas itong si Mayor Dumanhog dahil sa umano'y hindi niya ito kaalyado at hindi pagsunod sa kanyang kagustuhan. At dito nga sa expose ni Congressman Marcoleta ay sinasabi ni Congressman Marcoleta na kinulimbat umano ni Gobernador Oaminal na dating congressman ang 150 milyong halaga ng proyekto at sinasubukan umano ng kaalyado ni Gobernador Oaminal na dating congressman itong si Congressman Marcoleta para manahimik na at hindi na umano magsalita sa plenary. Ngunit hindi nagpadala itong si Congressman Marcoleta at pinanindigan ang kanyang prinsipyo at hindi ito nadala, natakot at ibinulgar pa rin. Kahit sa plenary, napilit siyang hinaharang ni Congressman Oaminal na ngayon ay gobernador. Ipinagpatuloy niya pa rin at pinanindigan na pwede siyang magsalita sa plenary at walang bawal.
Oaminal is willing to accept interpellations from the Honorable D.S. Marcoleta.
as to my wish, Mr. Speaker, but because I wasn't able to interpellate him also during his privileged speech, and then I politely declined to answer, to entertain his interpellation. Thank you
The
very much.
gentleman refuses to yield. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the question of privilege of Deputy Speaker Oaminal be referred to the Committee on Rules.
It is directed that the privileged speech of D.S. Oaminal is referred to the Committee on
Rules, Mr. Speaker.
Rules. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the privilege hour.
Privilege hour is opened. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the first of our colleagues who wishes to avail
Mr. Speaker,
Yes, D.S. Marcoleta of Sagit Party List. What is the pleasure of the
I ask
gentleman?
permission from the rules, Mr. Speaker, that I wish to interpellate Deputy Speaker Oaminal, and I was given the go signal.
Mr. Deputy Speaker Marcoleta, the person who gave his privileged speech is not willing to be interpellated. So therefore, there can be no interpellation at this time.
So, the Oaminal, Mr. Speaker, refuses to answer interpellation from this representation.
Yes, he had made his reasons to do so, and so therefore, there can be no interpellation on his privileged speech because he has declined.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, may I just ask the Speaker that I be given the chance to make a manifestation, Mr. Speaker?
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, considering that this is an issue that's very important in the locality, and considering also that we are respecting the right of the distinguished Deputy Speaker not to be interpellated, I believe, Mr. Speaker, that we should recognize the Honorable Marcoleta for his manifestation. So, Mr. Speaker, I move we recognize the Honorable Marcoleta. So move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Marcoleta is now allowed to give his manifestation, a short manifestation. For after all, there is no reply to that because there is no interpellation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this incident came from, I would say, complaints heard to me by several residents of Misamiz City in Misamiz Occidental sometime in April of last year. Considering, Mr. Speaker, that our constituency is nationwide, those residents, Mr. Speaker, specifically those belonging to the marginalized and poor sector of this country, are the chosen sectors of our party list. Hindi naman pwedeng hindi ko sila tulungan kung meron silang problema, Mr. Speaker. And so because of those complaints, those cries for justice, because at that time, their dwelling houses, the residences are being demolished. I remember I texted and I even communicated the Deputy Speaker, Henry Oaminal, in order to know the background on what is happening in this district. And so, I was told, Mr. Speaker, that the city government of Misamiz, whose mayor is his son, was granted a writ of possession by the trial court. I asked him, Mr. Speaker, if by virtue of the writ of possession granted by the court, if the Misamiz government was already entitled to demolish those houses. I was specifically asking him, Mr. Speaker, whether the writ of possession granted the Misamiz city government also the right to demolish the houses. I told him that you need writs or orders of demolitions coming from the court before you can do that. I think you must observe due process. Mr. Speaker, I also told him that there is a law on expropriation. As a matter of fact, in one of his press cons and interviews, Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speaker Oaminal referred to Republic Act 10752. He was saying in that press conference that the project is a national project funded by the national government and implemented by the DPWH. I asked him, kung ba meron ka ng writ of possession, ang ibig mong sabihin, pwede nang wasakin lahat ang mga bahay nang walang writ of demolitions. Wala namang magandang sagot, Mr. Speaker. Wala silang maipakita. So I called the DILG. Pwede pa ka akong magpatulong sa inyo because pandemic na po kasi noon, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, point of order, Mr. Speaker.
I think
What is the point
I
of
have the
order?
floor, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Let us first hear a point of order which takes precedence from anybody speaking on the floor. Yes.
Kanina ayaw mong magpa-interpolate. Ngayon, I am making a manifestation.
Let us hear the point of order. You are speaking, I recognize you, but there is a point of order, and we have to hear that, and the chair will rule. State
Yes.
the point of order.
The point of order, Mr. Speaker, is that the subject matter raised by the DS Marcoleta is no longer a manifestation but rather a privileged speech. And that subject matter is now pending with the Committee on Public Government and Accountability. And therefore, it is not proper to be discussed already in this.
What is the comment of the majority leader?
Mr. Speaker, though we respect the opinion of the Honorable Deputy Speaker, a while ago we moved that we recognize the Honorable Marcoleta and there was no objection.
At yun nga ang nangyayari mga kababayan po natin. Pilit mang hinarang ni Henry Oaminal o ni Gobernador Oaminal na dating congressman itong pagpapatuloy ng privilege speech ni Congressman Marcoleta ay hindi ito umobra. Dahil itong chairman ay pinapayagan niya pa rin na ipagpatuloy ni Congressman Marcoleta at tapusin ang kanyang 35 minutes na privilege speech. Kaya nga naman, nanahimik na lang itong si Congressman Oaminal na ngayon ay gobernador at nakinig na lang sa mga privilege speech ni Congressman Marcoleta dahil ayaw niya umano pumayag na magkaroon ng interpellation sa kanyang isyong kagustuhan nga na masagot ni Congressman Marcoleta. Patuloy na tayo.
Speaker, our constituency is nationwide. And I intervened because residents in Misamiz Occidental called me and texted me, and it is my duty to respond, Mr. Speaker. At yun nga po, tinatanong ko, kung merong court orders ng pagdidemolish, wala naman. So, I called the DILG, specifically if they can ask the PNP to also see the grounds, what is happening on the grounds, see for themselves kung meron pong writ of demolition. Kung meron, okay lang. Because that is the proper and legal order. Ang problema, Mr. Speaker, wala pong writ of demolitions, walang orders of demolitions, and this fact was even confirmed to me by Undersecretary of DILG Echeverry. because the provincial DILG official reported to him that there was no writ of demolitions. Mr. Speaker, ang sabi ko kay Deputy Oaminal, he should observe due process. Kasi po kahit na magkaroon kayo ng writ of demolition, hindi naman po pwede po na automatic meron na po kayong title over the lands na po inyong ina-expropriate. Ibig bang sabihin, Mr. Speaker, pag ang nag-issue na po ng writ of possession ng court, yung title po kagad automatic pang napunta sa Misamiz government? Hindi po. So the question is, paano po kayo makapagtatayo ng isang project funded by the national government over a land area which is owned privately by the residents? Bakit papasok ang national government like the DPWH mag-construct ng project hindi naman titulado sa Misamiz government? These are the questions I raised. And I even told him, Mr. Speaker, under Republic Act 7279, small parcels of lands belonging to residents are even exempted. They are exempted from expropriation. And then, the same law, Mr. Speaker, Section 10. Ang sabi po doon, expropriation is only one mode of land acquisition. Before you can even resort to expropriation, dapat po exhausted yung ibang modes of acquisition like land banking, community mortgage, land swapping, negotiated sale, donation to the government, and so on and so forth. What does the law specifically say? You have to exhaust these different modes of acquisition before you can go to expropriation. And then, kung talagang nag-iisa na lang, expropriation na lang, Mr. Speaker, ang sabi po ng batas specifically, parcels of land belonging to small landowners are exempted for purposes of that law. Yun po yung sinasabi ko. Pagkatapos, dinimolish lahat ang mga bahay. Mr. Speaker, under Republic Act 10752, there are 3 requisites na dapat gawin ng proponent na mag-expropriate. Number 1, babayaran mo 100% ng relevant zonal value ng mga i-expropriate mo. Babayaran mo yung improvements and houses and the trees and crops that may have been destroyed in the act of expropriation. And primarily, Mr. Speaker, under Republic Act 10752, you have to go through expropriation through the office of the Solicitor General or the office of the Government Corporate Council. Hindi po didiretso ang Misamiz government na mag-expropriate like what they did by filing a complaint for expropriation in the trial court. They invoke the eminent domain of the local government code. That is a general law. Ang special law on expropriation is Republic Act 10752. We lawyers know that a special law will prevail over the general law in the matters of expropriation. This is the special law.
Marcoleta, we request that you wind up because 10 more of our congressmen are in line for the privilege speech. Kindly wind up so that those issues precisely.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, kaya ko lang po kinukwento ito dahil sinasabi niya na that I interfered. I interfered for the correct reasons. Hindi naman po siya naniwala sa akin. Hindi na sana tayo napunta sa ganito kung pinakinggan niya ako. Pagkatapos sasabihin niya, pinakita niya, kinausap ko raw ang sheriff. Totoo po yun through telephone, Mr. Speaker. I was asking the sheriff kung may dala-dala siyang court order ng demolition. Wala po, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, our Deputy Speaker, and Oaminal, is he willing?
So yun po mga kababayan po natin ay hindi naman dapat umano makialam itong si Congressman Marcoleta nung panahon na yon. Kaso ang mga tao umano ng Misamiz City ay tumatawag, nagte-text kay Congressman Marcoleta at humihingi ng tulong. Dahil ito umano ay mandato ng kanyang Sagip Party List. Bilang isang representative umano ng Sagip Party List ay kailangan niya itong resolbahin at tulungan itong mga tao. Kinausap niya umano itong si Congressman Oaminal na ngayon ay gobernador para isettle sana at hindi na umabot sa House of Representative investigation or hearing mga kababayan po natin. pero hindi umano siya pinakinggan ni Congressman Oaminal noon at ngayon ay gobernador. Kaya napilitan na paimbestigahan ni Congressman Marcoleta at ito na nga, ibinulgar niya na at pati umano sa kanyang privilege speech ay kailangan niya ito banggitin dahil sa dinidiin siya ni Congressman Oaminal na ngayon ay gobernador na nakikialam. Nilinaw niya hindi siya nakikialam at ginawa niya na ang kanyang trabaho at sa ngayon umano ay nakabinpi na ito at patuloy pa rin itong iniimbestigahan ayon kay Congressman Marcoleta at handa siya umanong sagutin kung ano man ang isyong ipupukol laban sa kanya at ang handa siya umanong patunayan itong reklamo niya at itong ginawa niyang pagdinig sa House of Representatives. Lalo na ngayon mga kababayan po natin na may bago na namang ginawang iskandalo umano itong si Gobernador Oaminal at ito nga yung sa pilitan umano na pagkaladkad kay Mayor Bonifacio na umano'y walang legal na basihan. So, yan po ang sinasabi ni Congressman Marcoleta. So, ang kaugnay naman sa patuloy na political issue doon sa bayan ng Bonifacio sa Misamiz Occidental ay posibleng ngayong July 24 ay magaganap hindi may SONA. So, posibleng pagkatapos ng SONA ay magaganap ang Senate investigation sa nangyayari sa bayan ng Bonifacio. Yan po ang ating update. Salamat.